Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And shocker, Disney is walking it back. They're going to advertise on X again. This is after Musk infamously told them to go F themselves.
Well, he actually told Bob Iger to go F himself.
Specifically to go F himself because they were trying to, a bunch of these companies were trying to cut off the ad revenue to X. And
because of the comment he made before. Yeah.
Right. And this was they had an organization out there that was trying to police different websites and specifically X, and he sued them and yada yada. Basically, long story short, the election made them change their mind because they started to realize that, oh my God, more than half the country is conservative, or at least pushed Donald Trump through, and that's like potentially half of our revenue, and they're seeing this in real time, all their movies collapsing up until recently. And
the push was the push against what Hollywood's been doing and what the media has been doing, and these narratives, and that was what they did. They pushed against it, like, we're tired of it, and that's what they did. And now they're like, oh shit, maybe we're not in the right here.
So we're gonna talk about this in this very interesting situation. Now, I want to mention, even though they stopped spending money on advertising, Disney still had a bunch of gold checks, and they're not cheap.
Yeah, and they even had like a couple of their accounts that weren't on Twitter for a while. I'm sorry, X, and then they brought them back.
Yes,
just like a few months ago.
Yes. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about celebrities in the mainstream media fleeing to Blue Sky. It's basically blue pill, and they want to party like it's 2017 forever.
Because on Blue Sky, because they keep equating that X is not free speech. No, X is free speech. But what happened was when they controlled Twitter, they could say whatever they wanted to say, but no one else could say what they wanted to say because it wasn't free speech; it was their speech. And so they're just going to Blue Sky so they can just hear the echo chamber once again, and they feel like they have control over something.
Right. So it's going to be really interesting because X seems to
toxic X. No, it just doesn't let you just call everybody bigots for no reason.
X is becoming the people's platform, and that's what Musk wanted when he bought it. He wanted it to become sort of the American version of the apps that are used, in China and in Korea, that are kind of the people's social media platform. I mean, Facebook used to be that, but they've lost the plot.
But do you remember that one time on, I think it was Twitter at the time, when the blue checks were allowed to talk? Because before you could get a blue check, it was only celebrities and people who bought accounts.
Oh, right.
And then everybody was celebrating because they loved being on Twitter that day because they were all like, somehow the blue checks got screwed up and they weren't allowed to post. And everybody was like, this is the best day ever. And everybody was like talking to each other and stuff because celebrities have a massively overinflated opinion of themselves. Like massively. Nobody gives a shit as much about you as much as you think they do.
Yeah. So then after Elon opened up the blue check to everybody who was willing to pay for it, every time you would post, if you had a blue check, you had a bunch of idiots in there who are probably all on Blue Sky now being like, this motherfucker paid for a blue check.
Oh yeah, that was
it's
funny.
Like you're too broke to afford one, dude.
So did a lot of the ones who had blue checks before, but they just didn't tell you that.
It wasn't public. It was like tens of thousands of dollars per year, like $15,000 a year you had to pay for it. So now everything's transparent. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some other examples of Disney backpedaling. Inside Out 2, which made a ton of money. Remember, they had to walk the gay back. They were told to walk it back for the normies. And apparently there's an episode of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur that is not going to air because one of the characters is trans and makes a big deal out of being trans.
And playing sports.
And
they're being gatekept and locked out. It's like, no, maybe women are just tired of trans women playing sports and then not being, they're just physically going to be able to kick your ass. It is what it is. I'm sorry if you don't like it, but it's the truth.
So we're going to talk about this. Now, I believe the truth is coming out that people aren't as woke as Hollywood and the mainstream media would have you believe, and the whole simulation is crashing. So before you get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
Go out to clownfishminus.com. You can check out our Burning Castle Dismal shirt. Maybe they'll actually pick a good CEO. Maybe they're walking it back and they're like, yeah, you know what? Maybe we should pick somebody that actually wants Disney to be Disney.
Mm-hmm.
But
That'd be nice, but I don't know if they're
I
going
don't
to.
think I think they're going to
really
pick somebody
doubt
that
that.
just chases profit, and if they pick that EA guy, it's definitely over. All right, this comes from Ad Week. Comcast, Disney, and IBM are among advertisers returning to X after the ad freeze. Now, remember, Elon infamously told Bob Iger specifically to go F himself because they were trying to team up against him.
He's like, what are you going to do? You're going to blackmail me for money?
Yeah, like, I'm the richest man in the world. Like, what are you going to do?
And what happened with that whole thing was because he made a comment. Honestly, what he said was really not great. But we had those groups that you were talking about that he turned around and sued. They were deliberately, according to what the argument was, manipulating the algorithm so that advertisers would see terrible, like anti-Semitic or whatever posts with their ads on it. But it turned out that it was supposed to be like they were
knew what they were
manipulating
doing.
it.
Yeah, it was I think Garm was the name of it, and they cratered within a couple of days.
They're gone now, aren't they?
Yeah, they were manipulating the algorithm to display Disney ads next to like actual like white supremacist content, and you have to do that specifically, right? They're like, oh, look at this, and you can't really control, if you follow some dicey accounts and you follow the Walt Disney Company, you're going to see it just because the algorithm is going to recommend it to you because you follow those people, right? Mm-hmm. Or you've interacted with them before. Actually, people don't realize that. And it's the same with YouTube, too. Like, if you hate Clownfish TV videos and they keep popping up in your For You, it's because you've interacted with us on some level before, even if it was to downvote us or so, thank you. But yeah, so they were doing that specifically, and then they're running all the advertisers to be like, look, you need to cut your spend because like the Mickey Mouse vacation videos displaying next to let's chase all the brown people out of the country. We can't have that.
And it was, and instead of looking into it further, they just immediately, use it as look, we're going to make a big statement about it because according to Hollywood and according to the mainstream media, everybody believes in far left stuff. So if we make a big statement, we're going to get points for that. It bit them in the ass.
Look at this caption here. Online abuse targeting women has surged since the U.S. election with harmful rhetoric like "your body, my choice" and "get back to the kitchen" proliferating on X.
Where? I'm
sure
on there, and I was a woman. I've never seen any of that.
Well, you should just get back to the kitchen and stay off social media.
I'm just like, I'm like, who's probably putting those comments
Your body,
up?
my choice.
You know what? Yeah, no. It could be too that the people that are seeing that are like, following accounts that are showing things like that, or it could even be, wouldn't surprise me, people posting, because the election is going to be, get back in the kitchen and stuff like that. They're like, look, they're saying get back in the kitchen. That's probably what's going on. But
why isn't like KitchenAid advertising then, right? Like, hey, is your wife? Did you tell her to get back in the kitchen? Well, here we've got the perfect appliance. You can give it to her for her birthday, along with a vacuum cleaner, for Christmas, because every woman wants a vacuum cleaner, or then you can tell her, hey, honey, suck
True
this.
Story. I wanted a KitchenAid mixer.
That's
a lot.
A true story.
It's a true story. And at the time, we just did not have money, and I couldn't afford it, and I wanted one so bad.
They're expensive.
So I actually won one in a contest. I was so excited. I was like jumping around the house because I won the exact one I wanted, and I got it. So I've had it for like years now, but I won it.
She's actually very lucky. She
Not lately, but yeah.
PS4 from Taco Bell.
And you won the VR.
Then we won the VR too from Taco Bell. It was so weird.
And it was perfect because at the time, again, you were laid off, and we just didn't have money. Yeah. And
Squeaking really
wanted a PlayStation 4, and then he really wanted a VR. And because we won them, he was able to get them. So I ruined the PlayStation because I started screaming when I won, and the kids were right there and like, what's wrong? So I kind of ruined that one. Anyway, back to the point.
X's former top advertisers, including Comcast, IBM, Disney, Warner Brothers, Discovery, and Lionsgate, have resumed ad spending on the platform this year, albeit at a much lower rate than before.
I want to talk about this for a minute.
Come on.
They've done this before. Okay, yeah. This is what they do. All right. So they don't want to pay less. We saw this with the adpocalypse. And what happens is somebody says something dumb, and then immediately they act like they're outraged by it, and they're acting so mad. We're going to pull advertising, and they're acting like they're doing it because they value that group or whatever. But in reality, what happens is they threaten to pull their advertising, and then as soon as they're offered a lower rate, they turn around and come back because it was never about that group. It was about them getting a low rate for advertising. This is what happened on YouTube years ago. And that's what they did with Twitter. Make no mistake, it has nothing to do with, oh, I'm going to show them that this kind of speech is wrong. It's because they got a lower rate out of it. That is what happened. They have done it before. It's been, they have a pattern of behavior in this regard, especially Disney.
Yeah. Yeah. They basically just, hold their breath and turn blue. That's
no, but then they tend to be outraged and then demand they're not going to advertise, and then they'll be like, but you're not seeing the part where they're like, well, we might consider it if you give us better rates.
Yes,
because it's never about what they're not standing up for you. They're trying to get it cheaper.
Well, the reason I think YouTubers' rates have cratered over the years is because every adpocalypse has involved Disney to some degree or another. And they're one of the biggest advertisers.
But now they want advertisers. If I were you guys, I'd be like, if advertisers out there, I'd be like, well, Disney, you're involved. Your actress went out there. Rachel Zegler went out there and said all these horrible, hateful things against the majority of Americans. I want a cheaper ad rate. See how that works. Because that's what they've been doing all this time. I'd recommend other advertisers do it back to them.
So she gets all kinds of digs in here.
I know. This whole article is nothing but it's a catty bitch article.
Catty bitch article. These brands, along with Apple, paused their campaign. Yeah, and Apple, Tim Cook congratulated Donald Trump like day one. Wow, they really pivoted. Yeah, because they're afraid they're going to get shut down because he's already suing media outlets for bias now. They're like, oh, no, we can't have bias. They paused their campaigns in November of 2023 after their ads appeared next to anti-Semitic content and hate speech exacerbated by ex-owner Elon Musk endorsing an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory which spooked many. Can you say that spooked? Can you say spooked?
Oh, yes. How dare you? You racist troll. Look, what happened was exactly what we said happened. Yes, he said something that honestly was really stupid. I don't know why he said it. At the time, I even said, dude, that was not cool. But what actually happened was then it turned out that these places were deliberately positioning ads from Disney and companies like it next to things like that and then saying it was his fault. But they turned out that he sued them because they were manipulating the algorithm, allegedly. And then they went out of business because, they clearly weren't on the up and up.
And then they cratered within a day.
Yeah, because they were probably doing what he claimed.
And we know that they do this because there used to be, I don't even think that organization is around anymore, but they used to actually police different ad networks for websites. And they would go through your website and they would audit if you were part of an ad network. And this was it was really bad during the pandemic. Like, you were not allowed to say anything, but they would actually audit your website, and you'd get an email from your advertising network and be like, well, you can't have this page or that page or this page or that page, just so you know we can't run ads on it. We're watching you now because it might be disinformation.
But it turned out we know what the real disinformation was.
Right.
So, that's not exactly true. I mean, he did say something that he shouldn't have said. I will 100% give you that. He really did. That being said, that's not exactly what caused the problem.
No,
it was because they were all running to Disney and places like, look at this.
They're not going to tell you what actually caused the problem.
And then Disney, of course, jumped on it being like, because they're saying, we don't like anti-Semitic things like that. Meanwhile, Rachel Zegler was making all kinds of things against Israel and for Palestine while her co-host was Israeli, and they did nothing to her. Yeah. Disney didn't care jack shit about that, did they? But they so care about this. Oh, by the way, they got lower rates. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it suggests X might move to a long-tail advertising strategy, said the chief product officer of Media Radar. This would benefit new brands. They're looking for ways to connect with audiences without the intense competition. So they're basically saying all these other advertisers jumped in. They spent less because not a lot of people are using X.
No, actually, that's not true. A lot of people are using X.
Surging. The usage in X has actually had, since the election especially, some of its best days ever. And I think, I just did the podcast yesterday, I think they have 600 million users on X compared to Blue Sky, which just hit 15 million with a bunch of people leaving. But we'll talk about that. Wait a second.
I want to talk about this for a second. One second, though.
We're going to talk about that.
Wait, real quick. I just want to mention this. If all these celebrities are leaving X to go Blue Sky because, it's basically Twitter when they had control of it, then how are they actually they're saying, oh, we want to talk to people, change their minds. Well, how is that changing their minds? All you're doing is going to your echo chamber where people don't push back. What you want to do is you want to say whatever you want to say and not get pushback. That's not the same thing. You aren't interested in discourse. No. You are interested in discussion. You're only interested in shitting out whatever you want to shit out and having everybody kiss your ass for it. That's what you're interested in. And over there, you don't get the pushback. So what I'm hearing is you're a bunch of pussies who can't take pushback. That's what I'm hearing. Well, someone corrects you. You can't stand it. Maybe you'd be better off to maybe listen, maybe talk less, listen more, and maybe you'll find out why people think the way they think, and maybe you might have more common ground than not. But you're too busy out there, trying to make these posts and stroke your own ego that you cannot stand that people don't agree with you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They want to roll it back to 2017
when they can say whatever and call everybody bigots and then be allowed to do it.
But the fact that the advertisers are coming back to X, I mean, they would not be coming back unless they thought there was something in it for them. They thought the audience was there. They said the 2024 elections forced some brands to recalibrate their cautious approach to X, given Musk's close ties to Donald Trump. Said X's owner now has the ear of the president, a man who has a long history of helping his friends and punishing his enemies. Well, it's already starting. He's already suing a bunch of media outlets. Sending at least a trickle of ad spending toward X may be seen as good for business, albeit in an indirect way.
Hollywood, all they keep doing is as soon as Trump got elected, then they're all like, oh, we need to stop doing this. We need to go that way. They were just waiting to see what happened.
Yes.
And now, now they got elected. They're like, oh, now they're gonna go back to center. Now they're gonna spend money.
So they're gonna go right into, well, X has its biggest exodus. 115,000 people left the platform.
Wow.
Actually, a bunch of new people signed up because a lot of people weren't going to X because the mainstream media was like, don't go there. That's where all the Nazis are. Before that was like, everything happens on Twitter. The weird thing is Twitter was so locked down and so game that like real people didn't use Twitter, right? Like grandma wasn't using Twitter. Now a whole bunch of normal people, normies, are coming to X.
Well, it's like everybody left MSNBC and they're going to Fox. You know, it's like because they're trying to find out what's going on, and they know that they're being lied to, and then just could be seeing what the other side says too, just try to be get a fair, see what's being said. But they're leaving in droves, and then it said if you followed the rest of the paragraph you had, they also said that it had the biggest drop, but then it said the same day they saw record web traffic.
Yes. So that's bullshit. Yeah, then another article she wrote, she said, ad industry grapples with brand safety void left by GARM.
God, the reason GARM left is because if you're actually on the up and up,
it does.
We said that then. If you're on the up and up and you're doing everything right, and you can provably prove that you did nothing wrong, why would you fold?
Yeah.
And there's a demand for you. Why would you fold?
Yep, because it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. All of it's bullshit. So we'll talk here about these celebrities, and then we're going to talk about some other instances of Disney walking it back. And I think this is going on. I think basically the simulation blew up.
But I think Hollywood's walking it back in general, and Disney's just,
Yeah, they're just kind of...
They want to make money.
Well, they've been. I mean, that's the weird thing. Like, Disney actually has been walking it back because we've seen the last couple of movies that have come out that have done well. They were very middle of the road.
Last year, they got their asses kicked.
Yeah. And
this year, they've made a concerted effort to try to just appeal to audiences and make it less political.
Yeah, and it takes years. I mean, that's what we're trying to tell people. Like, you see these really super woke games coming out or whatever. Those games started development in like 2016, 2018. Very much a product of their time. It's kind of like when we were kids in the 80s, they would kind of haul us into the lunchroom to watch movies and stuff, and sometimes they'd like have these like 70s cartoons that were full of hippies and shit, or like hippie themes. I'm like, God, this is really like, what? Mm-hmm. What's with the communist bullshit? I was a kid and I was like, this is really dated. And that's how these things are going to look, I think. Mm-hmm. And, but yeah, Inside Out 2, they were told to walk back the LGBTQ plus themes, which why would they be overt in a movie about a 13-year-old girl that wants to play
exactly why.
Hockey?
You know exactly why.
So they had to walk it back.
There has been, in the last 8-10 years, a concerted effort to really, really give a shit who kids are fucking or want to fuck or want to kiss or whatever. It has been ridiculous. And it is not the kids that want this. It is the showrunners.
Yes.
Don't even get me started on fucking prom. Okay? Don't even get me started.
What they want is fucking
prom.
Yes.
No, I'm just saying, it's like, no, that being said, not all these shows are bad. The problem is, especially when you're taking something that you're co-opting and then you're just changing anything about it to put your agenda into. I'm just saying, there's been a concerted effort, a very targeted effort to, to care about who you're shipping kids with and teaching kids to be shippers and all this other crap. And it's insane. And they've been doing it. And then these shows get canceled. And then the people are screaming about the bigots and the trolls. And then some of the shows are not that bad, actually. But they're getting canceled because shows that are terrible, that go too far. And I'm sorry, I saw this clip. And this clip's all about, I'm just going to stop. We're going to play it. But I'm just going to sum it up for you real quick. They're gated in the locker room by the gatekeeper because they can't play because this character is trans and because, that they shouldn't be on the team playing sports because they're trans. And I'm like, and they're making it like that they're being victimized. I'm like, I'm sorry. Look, I have no problem with people being trans. Honestly, we've said that many times. We'll respect your pronouns. I have absolutely zero issue with it. However, that being said, I do have a fucking issue with people in sports that are biological male. Even if you take the hormones and stuff, you still are physically a male. You're stronger than a female. It is what it is. It's science. And you go in and you play and you're going to kick their ass because they can't, even no matter how hard they train, they can't compete with you. And I'm sorry, then we have the Olympics, that whole situation. And then you make a woman apologize for it after getting your ass kicked.
Yeah.
That's not a good look. People are tired of it. Personally, if trans people want to play sports, you should be allowed to play sports, but you might have to have your own teams because that would be fair. It's just not fair. That's what I have a problem with. Also, don't want to be called birthing person.
Careful, geeky. You're starting to sound like J.K. Rowling.
I've said this the whole time.
I know.
And don't be, and you don't want to be, as a woman, I don't want to be called, I want to be called a woman. I don't want to be called a birthing person.
Well, I don't know if it's smart to run this because I'm like it's got like property of Disney TVA.
Yeah, we're not going to run it, but basically what it is, I'll just tell you, they're locked into the locker room by the gatekeeper because this character is trans, and because they're trans, they aren't part of their rules or their what they accept. So they're being locked into the locker room basically to try to force a trans player to quit on the girls' team, is what they're trying to say.
This is the most diverse girls' team ever. So they're shelving it. Apparently, they said
they're just shelving that episode.
Yeah, so it's this is a person who worked on it. Said, I guess I finally got hit with one of the projects episodes I worked on is getting shelved because of which party won the recent election. It breaks my heart knowing this impactful and amazing episode is now about to be considered lost media.
Let me correct this for you. I got hit with. Go back to the comment. I guess I finally got hit with one of the projects I worked on getting shelved because of the fact that the majority of people are tired of your shit. And it's not about election. It's because until then, y'all thought that you were winning and you thought that's what people wanted. And now you're finding out people don't want that. Now, of course, again, being trans isn't something that should be, condemned necessarily. It's because of the sports issue is why this episode, it's because this poor girl wants to play sports and they can't because they're biologically a male. Because the gatekeeper, they're being kept out of sports. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. In this case, and even athletes have said this. Even Jenner has said this. Caitlyn Jenner has said this. It's unfair. And I'm sorry, but the small percentage of you that are trans that want to play sports and female sports is much smaller than the percentage of women who are biologically female who want to play in women's sports. And it's unfair. It truly, truly is. And I'm sorry if you have a problem with that. It is what it is. I think there's probably another solution somewhere that can be found, but it isn't fair to force women that are biological women to play against a trans woman who biologically has muscle groups that are stronger and things like that. It's just not right. It's unfair, and majority seem to think that.
Yep.
So I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So this is again, all this is Disney just pivoting whichever way the wind blows. And, look, if I honestly think if they had it their way, they absolutely would release all stuff. But they're like, we've gotten so much backlash. We lost Reedy Creek over political shit. So they're being extra cautious now. And remember, these shows got greenlit how many years ago? And it was very much in vogue. And I think the only reason they got greenlit was that the higher ups, either they really agreed with it or they looked at the media and they're like, this is what everybody wants, right? Because all the media outlets say this is what everybody wants. And then the truth came out and it's like, oh, this isn't what people actually want.
No.
Oh shit. We better, danger. So we're going to see a lot of walking it back, I think. I'm going to be honest. I mean, we joke about Disney burning down, whatever. If for no other reason, I don't think they're ever going to be completely gone, because I think they're going to have people in charge that are going to be like, yeah, we might not believe this, but we got to make money. Let's pull it out of a tailspin. And they'll just continue to do. But I think going forward, they're going to learn a very painful lesson. Be like, we have to make content for everybody, right? I mean, you have to cater to the majority, and it sucks. But that doesn't mean you can't have representation for the minority in there. You just have to do it in a smart, in a way that's been done for years until the last 10 years for whatever fucking reason. Like, I mean, again, going back to I'm using Star Trek again as an analogy, but it's a very good example of how you could get those themes across and be fair and not ham-fisted and hit people upside the head with it. Years later, we find out that most of the people that worked on those shows are very ham-fisted and they want to hit people upside the head with their politics. But back then, it was done for a general audience and nobody really had a problem with it. In fact, it was food for thought for some people, and they never. I mean, sometimes they took clear sides, but there were a lot of episodes where they were like, yeah, these are cultural differences, and that's just the way it is, right? So anyway, are we going to wrap it up? I think we need to wrap this up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Join the reef. Go to clownfish-.com. That's clownfish-.com. You will get exclusive access to podcasts and videos and comic strips and more, as well as merch discounts. Check it out. If you were a member, you could get this t-shirt, this dismal t-shirt, on our website. You'd get a 10% discount on that. You can also join in the community on clownfish-.com. Thank you so much for the support.